All right. Howdy, Tech Drover again. Hiring the techs is a mess, and today we're going to fix that. And again, it's a little windy out here today. Getting the team staffed appropriate is a key for success. You got too few, you're going to go too slow. You got too many, things are going to bog down. Everybody's always worried about having too few, though. But getting the right team size is key. You don't want to have too many meetings, too many discussions. I was on one team, they never built anything because they were too busy talking every week for hours. What's the best way to do it? Okay, that's developer thinking. An engineer says, I'm going to go build it. We'll change it, fix it if we need to. I've been on overstaffed teams. Also, gave busy work. I was on one team that had me doing geofencing for an app. It wasn't a high priority. It was just something to give me to do until they figured out what the requirement priorities were. Hiring, it's a lot like draft picks in the NFL. How many times does your team, or some of those teams that won't be named, pick the wrong person? They focus on the wrong criteria. So we got to get the criteria right. You've seen draft picks struggle. Oh, this person's expected to thrive. They go to a team, they crash and burn. Part of it may be on them. Part of it may be on the way they were brought in, mentored, brought along. Sometimes they leave that team, go somewhere else, become a hero. So you don't want to make that mistake. People keep talking about the developer shortage. I don't think there's a developer shortage. I think there's a problem in hiring. People have too many expectations, too many requirements. They want an advanced degree. Sometimes an advanced degree doesn't help. When I was working power systems, we had a guy with a master's in engineering. We couldn't let him in the lab because it would have burned down. He kept making serious mistakes. I worked with one person who was about to get his PhD in computer science. He had trouble coding. He had to ask for help frequently. He was also a very slow coder. Good engineers learn on the fly. So be careful in interview questions. Look for bias in your teams. Cliques that form, because your team is going to be part of the interview process. They're going to weed out people they don't think fit in. Your project, especially, is having problems. If it's slow, you're having quality problems, you got to look at any cliques or biases that are in your team. As I said, good engineers learn on the fly. Don't expect them to know everything when they get there. They're going to learn it. They're going to make a difference. Don't ask developers to show you code from another product. That's someone else's IP. If your developers see it, then that actually puts your business at legal risk. If they show you some feature of another product and they implement it, that other company may find out, come after you. So if they're asking for that, stop them. And if a developer is showing you IP from someone else, you don't want to hire them. You wouldn't want people trying to leave your company showing someone else your code, would you? I certainly hope not. How many ads? We need 4 years of experience. We need 6 years of experience. We need 10 years of experience. Does that really matter? You want someone who's going to make a difference, right? You want someone who spent 5 years working on an app that was really simple. It was the core IP of the business was someplace else, and this was supporting technology? Or do you want the person who worked on a really complicated app and really had to flesh it out and understand what was going on to make it work? I'm going to go with that person, even if they have to learn new skills on the fly. Another thing I've seen in hiring, silly coding tests. I don't know how many I've seen that was an interesting problem. In 1970, we don't code like that anymore. Some expect you to sling code, do this task that would normally take several hours, do it in an hour. Is that the way they want their people to work? Especially when they don't know your style, your guidelines, anything about your company. I honestly had one company ask me to do a coding test. It was a silly coding test. I asked them, is this relevant to what I'd be doing if I got the job? Their answer was no, it's not. Then why am I doing it? Why are you asking me to do it? And if you get someone to do a coding test, you put them through a lot of interview process, or if they provide a proposal for a freelance project, be courteous, give them feedback. Don't just let it go into a black hole. Sure, if they just send in a resume, they're probably not worrying about it. They occasionally get the email, unfortunately, we're not considering you. I call those the you're a loser emails. But if you spend time with them, be courteous, give them feedback, help them out. And it really comes down to it. the type of persons really make a difference. You can have someone with the right experience, the right skill set, but if their personality doesn't fit with your organization, it's not going to work out. A lot of websites, you're just trying to submit a resume. You have to fill out a form, sign your name, pick a date. Why do I have to pick a date? I'm doing it today. It's kind of obvious. It's kind of silly to ask me to pick a date. And I don't know how many accounts I have for that one working day solution. I don't even know the passwords. I just started giving them all a rather improper password because I would remember that. Another biggie, over requirements. I've kind of touched on that. But think about it. You want a mobile engineer? Why does he have to understand back-end technologies? If that's the case, you want a full stack engineer. So make sure the title's right. Requiring specific libraries or tools. They're going to have to learn your code. They can't pick up a third-party tool on the fly. You've already got it in your code. They got a good example to work from of how you use it. One of my favorites, geography limitations. We want someone on site. Well, you got 4 offices housing people across the country. You're working remote anyway. And if you're a small company in a small town, you're better off going remote and bringing in talent from wherever you can get it, rather than limiting it to who's in that small town or expecting someone to move. Another one, MAUs. Millions of authenticated users, whatever that stands for a mobile app. You want someone who's got 1 million people using their fart app? Or do you want someone who built a real app solving a real problem that maybe, has a few 100,000 users? Think about that. Some of the stupid phrases I've seen in ads, read some of these, I laugh. And, I think, what were these people thinking? And maybe they weren't. And also, on the number of active users, you can have a really bad app that's got great marketing, provides some value from a big business. It's going to have a bunch of users. Maybe some of them don't even want to use the app, but that's the only way to interact with the company. You might have a great app in a different situation that has a lot fewer users. So again, think about what you're asking for in these ads. One ad had 17 required requirements and 5 preferred requirements. 17. I didn't have that many requirements for my wife, and she's awesome. This is a good one. We are looking for our next vice president of engineering. Really? What happened to the last one? Just like a sheriff in the Old West, you got to replace him every few years when the people run him out of town. This is another good one. We're intentional about the way we work. I'm glad it ain't accidental. That would suck. Entrepreneurial mindset with a history of operating in fast-paced, rapidly environments. I got 2 problems with this one. If I'm entrepreneurial, I may take your job because I need a paycheck while I work on my own stuff. But if I'm entrepreneurial, I'm probably not going to stay at your company. The other thing, fast-paced, rapidly evolving environments. Every company I've seen that says that, they are slow. I sat around bored in some of these jobs because they said they were fast-paced, but it didn't matter how quickly I got anything done. One ad was looking for boot spring experience. Don't know what that is. Apparently they don't know what Spring Boot is. How can you evaluate a candidate if you don't even know what you're talking about? This one is all caps. You'll be required to prove you're a real US-based developer. We will be requesting a second form of identity such as a LinkedIn or a video call. I don't know how any of that proves you're in the US, especially nowadays with all the technology. And you're going to fill out an I-9 anyway, Again, they probably got burned somewhere along the way. But is this really the answer? Everybody's a leader. Everybody has the best team. Quit saying that. That's just stroking egos. Experience with front-end systems such as React, Vue.js, or AngularJS. We use React. Just say you want React. We're a stealth startup on a mission to redefine whatever. They're going to redefine healthcare. They're going to redefine utilities. They're going to redefine the way we drive our cars. You're not really stealthy. if you're advertising that. Lastly, proven experience developing high-performance, scalable mobile applications. There's a lot of problems with this one. How do you prove your experience? Maybe you were on a team that delivered an app. Doesn't mean you did anything. So it's not really proven. The other problem with that, scalable mobile applications. I hate that phrase. If you're talking about just the mobile app, it's scalable because everybody puts it on their own phone. The scalability comes in the back end. You're expected and realized number of users. Mobile apps don't care if it's on one phone or 50 million phones. The back end's what cares. So when you say a scalable mobile app, you mean a scalable end-to-end solution. Again, get the terminology right. Oh, I do have one more. Become a maker of possible. I don't even know what that means. We're all out here to build products. Again, drop the BS. Just be real. So what do you need to do? Review your job description. Make sure it makes sense. Test it. If you're going to post something on a website, your website, a job board, test it. Make sure it works. I have had a number that didn't work. The job was removed. It said one of them asked you to click a button to do something. It didn't do anything. How do you expect people to submit resumes for your job? Are you just posting something so you can say, hey, we tried, but we couldn't find any candidates. So we're going to go hire somebody in another part of the world. Cheaper. Think about what you're doing. You're going to do code tests especially. Make sure your current team would pass it. And especially if your team's struggling. You need to bring someone in who's going to make change. So make sure you're bringing on the best people. Ditch meaningless metrics and buzzwords. I think I've hit on that enough. So anyway, thanks for listening. Again, if you got suggestions, topics, need some help, hit me up. Next time, innovation. Hiring's hard, but chasing unicorns won't help. Find solid writers who get the job done. See you next time.